Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Coach James. This is Real Training Live. You guys are in the right place. It is Wednesday, guys, 1 o'clock Eastern time, which means it is time to get serious about your training, guys. So I'm excited once again this week, as always, to enjoy hearing from you guys. If you are live with me during this broadcast, make sure you comment below. Let me know where you are calling in from or where you're watching from. If you're watching this as a rebroadcast, hey, obviously you can do the same thing. Let me know that. Let me know what questions you have. Likes, shares, and comments, guys. This is what it's all about. It is interactive, all right? Real Training Live is meant to be interactive. So I am going to adjust a couple things over here on my monitor, make sure that I can actually see you guys as I'm supposed to. So while we're waiting, all right, while we're waiting for a lot of you guys to come on with us live, we're waiting for the rest of everybody to show up. I just want to, I want to make a couple comments. All right, so give me 1 second here. I will be back in front of the camera. All right, so I want to make a couple comments about Real Training Live because, you know, I get asked all the time from my coaching clients and from other agents that I talk to and work with, you know, what is your goal with Real Training Live, James? You're giving this away for free. I mean, you know, there's so much great information here. So I just want to remind you, all right, that Real Training Live is about two things, all right? Two reasons that I do this every single week, that I step in front of the camera and I share with you guys, all right? Number one is I want you to have the information that you need to succeed, okay? I need you to understand that my goal is to help you guys succeed in your business. So that's number one. I want to bring ideas. I want to bring scripts. I want to bring tools to the table each and every week that you guys can actually use. And then number two, okay, the second thing that I guess as far as my objectives are with Real Training Live is to give you the inspiration, to give you the motivation, just reach through the camera and give you that little nugget that you need to actually go out and do something with the information. Because you know what, guys, there is so much training available. There are so many things that you can plug into, watch, be a part of, listen to, download, whatever. And we get barraged by information. We get barraged by ideas. And this class will be no different than any of the other events or classes that you've been a part of if you don't take action. Okay? Knowledge is not power. I've said that every week. Knowledge by itself is not power, guys. Okay? It is the action that you take. It's the implementing of the knowledge. So, hey, Emily, great to have you on board with us there in Kansas. Thank you for the like. Feel free to hit the share button, guys, right now and get this shared out with the rest of the agents that you know and that you interact with. Get them in here to be a part of Real Training Live with us today. We're going to wrap up. I think my goal is to wrap up listing presentation today. We've been talking about this now for 5 weeks, I think it was. There was 1 week where we had kind of an interruption. I did a class on mindset a couple weeks ago for Espresso Agent, but we started with pre-qualifying a few weeks ago, guys, where we talked about how important it is that you don't show up on a listing presentation until you pre-qualify. Okay? Far too many agents are wasting far too much time by not sitting down with real sellers, not sitting down with people who are truly motivated and need to sell. I mean, why are we there if they don't really have to sell, right? Okay, we went through that whole conversation. It is down below in the feed on this page. So if you did not catch the episode of Real Training Live on pre-qualifying, just scroll down through until you find it and feel free to watch that again as a rebroadcast. And then we moved on into the presentation itself. Okay, and I think we have spent, I want to say 3 weeks maybe, talking about it. So today, what we're going to do is we are going to kind of end the conversation as far as closing and asking for the order, asking for the signature, and then we need to jump into talking about some objections. Okay, so here's what I want. I want interaction. Again, I want comments below. If you guys have an objection or a comment or a situation that you tend to struggle with a little bit as far as listing property, when it comes right down to it, put it in the comments below. I will see it. Let me just scroll down here real quick, make sure I can actually see. Okay, so I can see when the comments come in, and we want to tackle that. Okay. Again, I want you to be able to list a higher percentage of properties at your price, your terms, your commission, and that's part of our objective here today. All right? So just as far as a recap, let's go back just a couple steps to where we finished off last week. All right. And again, all of these episodes are available. If you guys haven't seen them, they're not deleted at the end of the week or anything like that. So there's an entire archive that you guys can go back and watch. But we talked last week about the idea that we need to cover, obviously, the CMA and the comps and that whole conversation about price. And then we also shifted over and looked at the marketing plan. Okay, in other words, what is it that you actually do to get the home sold? Because sellers are going to ask. Okay, sellers want to know. That's one of the key things that is going to cause them to choose you, or maybe cause them not to choose you, is do they believe that you can get the job done? All right, do they believe that you have a plan and you know what you're doing and you're going to get them the most exposure and ultimately get the property sold? So we talked about a concept. I kind of referred to it as point benefit close. Okay, so if you guys are taking notes, or again, you can catch this from last week's broadcast, but point benefit close was my little sequence for how you actually present the ideas in your marketing plan. Okay, so let's remind ourselves here, we're making a couple of assumptions. We're assuming that you are sitting with somebody who needs to sell. Okay, that's obvious. We're assuming that you're sitting with somebody who is willing to consider you for the job. They just need to figure out up here, hey, can this agent do the job? So as you're going through and you're talking about the fact that you lead generate, you're talking about the fact that you have various avenues, websites, social media, various things that you use to get the property exposed. With each one of those guys, you need to close them, okay? You need to kind of build that, what we sometimes call yes momentum with each point. So let me give you an example, okay? And I think I went through this example last week as well. But let's say that you're talking about the fact that you are going to prospect every day. You're going to actively go out and look for buyers for the property, okay? You're not just going to sit back like a lot of agents do and put the property in the MLS and have it auto feed onto all these websites and then just wait for the buyer to show up. That you're going to take a proactive approach. So, Mr. Mrs. Seller, let me ask you a question. When you think about the kind of agent that you expect to list with, okay, the kind of agent that you want representing you, do you want to know that your agent is actively working every single day to find you buyers for your property? I mean, is that important to you, or do you want to kind of wonder and feel like maybe your agent's just sitting back waiting for something to happen from, the MLS or a website? What kind of agent are you looking for? Okay. Now, remember, guys, with most of the questions we ask in the presentation, we should already know the answer. Okay, that's kind of one of those main rules of selling, is that you don't ask questions that you don't already know the answer to. Okay, so we are going to assume that they're going to say, well, yeah, of course, we want a proactive agent. We want to know that our agent's working for us. And say, okay, well, that's what I thought. So I want to share with you the fact that every single day I devote a minimum of an hour and a half or a minimum of 2 hours or whatever it is that is in your schedule. You tell them, hey, I dedicate 2 hours every single day to picking up the phone and actively looking for buyers for your property. Okay? In fact, if you'd like, I can give you a little example of what I say. Would you like me to go through and tell you what I say when I get on the phones? And you can role play with them. I mean, can you imagine sitting there role playing right at the table with the potential seller? Okay? And showing off your sales skills a little bit and letting them know what it is you're going to do every single day. Another thing, I have several clients who will actually, depending on the time of day and depending on the weather and things like that, but a lot of times they will, when they leave a property, okay, they've just gotten the listing signed, they'll actually go across the street or next door and they'll start knocking on doors right there in the neighborhood, letting all the homeowners know they just listed the property across the street or just listed the property next door, and start asking if they happen to know of anybody that's been talking about moving into the area. Right? So you can even demonstrate for your seller, look, this is what I'm going to do. The moment you hire me, as soon as you make the decision that I'm your agent, I'm going to go to work. In fact, before I wrap up and move on to my next appointment, I'm going to actually knock on some of your neighbors' doors. Let them know we just listed the property, as long as this is okay with you. And I'm going to ask them directly if they happen to know of anybody that's been talking about moving into the area. Is that the kind of agent that you want working for you? So here's what we're doing. Remember I talked about point, benefit, close. The point is I actively prospect for buyers every single day. The benefit, we assume, is that we're going to find the potential buyer faster, and that you're going to have the peace of mind to know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that your agent is working for you every single day. And then you close them by asking what? Asking a question, right, guys? We can't close unless we ask a question. So a closing example might be, hey, can you see why it's critical to choose an agent like myself who is actively going to do this for you every single day? Okay? Would you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that this is the kind of activity that you are expecting from the agent that you're listing the property with? Those are just examples of closing questions on that particular point. So see, if you do that, if you go through your marketing plan, and you don't just read it to them off the page or read it to them off of the screen on your iPad or your laptop, but you're engaging them. You're explaining the benefit and you're asking closing questions, guys. They're going to be in the habit. By the time you get to the end of your presentation, they are going to be in the habit of saying, yes, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see why that's important. Yeah, I would agree this is something that we want. Okay, that makes the big yes a little bit more likely. Okay, that makes it a little bit more easy for them to just kind of fall into that flow of saying yes to you. That's the point of that approach. So again, we talked about that last week. I just wanted to kind of recap that and bring us up to where we left off. Okay, so at this point now, we've done everything. We've looked at the property. We've asked our leverage questions up front. We have gone through the comps. We've talked about price. We've told them the importance of the fact that you're going to be honest with them, okay, about the price. You're not just going to tell them what they want to hear like a lot of agents do. And we've talked about the marketing plan. So now it's time for the big question. Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on our conversation that we've had here for the last 20, 30 minutes, I need to ask you a question. Do you believe that I can get your property sold? Do you guys feel convinced that I know what I'm doing and that I can get your property sold? Okay, that's an example. I'm not saying you have to ask that exact question in that exact way. I would suggest, though, that you do something like that. Okay, and a lot of you guys, you may have your specific question that you use. That's fine. But we're asking them for the signature. We're saying, hey, guys, do you believe that I can get the home sold? Do you believe that I can do the job that you're looking for? If you remember back to, I guess it was the second segment of the presentation, where we went through that little portion of the trial close. Okay, you guys have watched that. If you've watched that, you may remember, where we went through and we got them to describe what they were looking for. We got them to agree on 3 or 4 points that they knew they wanted from their agent. And we asked them at the end of that, we said, hey, listen, at the end of our meeting tonight, if you believe that I'm this agent, okay, we've just defined your ideal agent, and if I meet all these criteria, is there any reason you wouldn't go ahead and hire me tonight? Okay, you guys remember that? So this is where you go back to that point. And you say, guys, let's take a look at our list that we started a little while ago. You said to me, and you're going to read it right off the page. Imagine having, like a legal pad, right here that you've written these things down. You say, listen, guys, you told me that one of the things you were convinced you needed was an agent that had a stronger marketing plan. Somebody that had a better approach, a better strategy for maximizing the exposure of your home. You guys said that was important. So you told me we could check that off, as we finished up my marketing plan. You said that you felt that marketing plan made sense. You told me you wanted good communication. You told me that you were looking for someone that was going to give you a great experience. So based on all these things, do you believe I can get the job done? And are you ready to go ahead and list your home with me tonight at the price we discussed? Okay, whatever that price was. So I'm giving you some examples of how you can tie in the leverage that you got at the beginning right now in the close. All right, so again, guys, if this is making sense, if you can see how this can tighten up your presentation, again, feel free to comment, ask, likes, shares, all the stuff that you guys know you have to do on social media to make this thing really work. All right, go ahead and do that for me. But if you have questions, all right, if you need, in fact, I'm just checking my monitor there. I don't see any questions yet, but if you guys have questions about what we just talked about, hit me up below and let's get this dialogue going, all right? But this is the moment where the seller is either going to say, they're going to look at each other and say, yeah, I guess so. I guess we're ready. And you say, fantastic. All I need you to do is, officially authorize me to represent you. We've got our standard listing agreement here. You slide it across the table. You hand them the pen. You nod your head and smile, and you say, would you guys sign the contract, please? Okay? Sometimes it goes that well. It goes that easily. The stronger your presentation, now I want you to think about this, okay? The stronger your presentation, the more questions you've asked, the more times you've gotten them to say yes, the more likely they're going to be to sign with you right then. Okay? But let's be honest, probably 80% of the time, maybe a little bit more, they're going to have a question, right? They're going to have an objection. They're going to have something that they hit you with. Okay? So if you have a particular objection, a particular challenge that you tend to come up against, when you ask for the signature, hit me with it below. Okay, let's get the dialogue going about this. All right? I already know that for most of you, it's going to be probably one of three things. Okay, they're either going to have an issue with the price, where they basically say, I know you talked about $299, but we really wanted to give it a try. We really want to get above $300 for the house. Can we just try it at $325 and see what happens? Okay, they're going to do that. A lot of times they're going to balk at the price that you're asking for, and they're going to ask to list it higher. Okay, so in that case, you're going to have to go back through the comps. You're going to have to ask them some questions about why they believe that they should be asking X amount more when the comps clearly show this is where the price should be. Okay, so you guys probably know some things that you can use to handle that when you get the pricing objection. But see, here's the bottom line, and you need to maybe remind them of this, that if you don't price it right to start, and in a market where most properties are selling in an average of 7 days, 9 days, 15 days, whatever it is in your market, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, in a market, in an environment where properties are selling in an average of X number of days, okay? If we don't price it right, and you end up sitting here for 2, 3, or 4 weeks without an offer, what might that convey to the potential buyers who are looking at your home? What do you think they might start thinking about your home? And you let them answer. Okay, you ask the question and you let them answer. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll think there's something wrong with it. Maybe they'll think that, we're asking a little too much money. Okay, so Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, is that what you want the buyers to think about your property? Do you want them to have to wonder why your home's been sitting here for several weeks, unsold, when pretty much everything else is gone within a week or so? Is that the message we want to convey? Well, no, of course not. All right, then can you see why it's so critical that we start at the right price? Again, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's no victory for me in having your home just listed on the market. My goal isn't just to list it. My goal is to sell it. I assume that's why you have me here. So my suggestion is we price it at blank. Okay, so you're going to have to go through this in some cases where you revisit price. Okay, the second, probably most common response that you're going to get when you ask for the listing is, we need to think about it. We need to think it over. We want to sleep on it. We need a couple of days. You guys have heard all the variations on that, right? Let me be honest with you, and I think you guys realize this. In almost every case, we want to think about it is just a smokescreen, okay? It's just a way to get out of having to make a decision right then. Because by default, most of us don't like to have to make a decision. Okay, we just don't. We would prefer not to have to choose, even when it's something we want to do. So we put it off as long as we can. I'll think about it. Let me deal with that tomorrow. Let me deal with that in a couple of days. I got a lot going on. But you know what? We need them to take action. So let's go through a couple of scenarios of how to handle the we want to think about it. Okay? So option number one, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know what? Listen, I understand. I feel the same way when I'm in your shoes like this, where I have to make a decision. But you guys did tell me. You did say that you need to get the property sold so you can make this move. I mean, you guys are committed to going to Tennessee, right? I mean, that's not an option. You told me that earlier, that you need to be in Tennessee. So I'm just curious, is there any real benefit to putting this off? I mean, how is it going to be an advantage to you to wait until tomorrow or the next day before you finally decide to go ahead and get the home listed? Okay, now I don't know what they're going to say to that. I'm just throwing out questions, guys, that you want to use when you get engaged in this part of the conversation that, we need to think about it. We'll get back to you in a couple of days. All right, so I'm just wondering, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is there any real advantage? How is it going to be an advantage to you to wait until Thursday before you finally make a decision? Now, they may continue to say, well, we just want to make sure we're making the right choice. We got to look at all of our options, things like that, right? So, hey, Alex, good to have you on board from sunny Florida. I'm assuming it's sunny down there, so thank you for joining us, sir. Please feel free, hit the share button. Let's get this out to some of the other agents that you know and you work with down there. And by all means, if you got some questions, hit me up with some likes and questions below. But here's the thing. You may need to say to the seller, listen, if you're like me, one of the things I know that I need in this type of situation is I just need a few minutes to talk to my wife, and for us to make sure we're on the same page here. So look, here's what I'm going to do. There's lots of paperwork. There's lots of things I need to fill out. I'm just going to excuse myself. I'm going to go sit in the other room for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and give you guys a few minutes to just talk privately. You don't need me breathing down your neck. You don't need me staring at you. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to talk this through, make sure you're on the same page, and then I'll come back in. And as long as there's no questions, we can move forward. If you guys have some things that you need to, kind of talk about with me at that point, that's fine too. Okay, so you're literally, as you're doing this, guys, if you can picture, you're getting up from the table, you're gathering up some of your things, and you're already in motion, walking to the other room. Okay, so this isn't I'm asking your permission to do this thing. This is what I'm doing. I'm giving you that time. Because think about it, guys. A lot of times they do just need 5 or 10 minutes to look at each other. What do you think, honey? I don't know. I guess it makes sense. What do you think? Yeah, I guess so. And, they talk about it and, well, do you think we should ask him to cut his commission? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, our friends said they got their agent to cut all right, well, let's ask him that. They do this sort of thing, right? But let's be honest. Do you really think they're going to put on a pot of coffee and they're going to be up till midnight talking about this? Okay, no, this is not a big decision. I mean, it's a big decision, but it's not complicated. Either they want to list you with you or they don't. Okay, so give them their space. This technique, this approach, guys, I'm telling you, I don't want to say it's a guarantee by any means, but it works so often. Give them their space. Just tell them, look, I'm gonna walk into the other room. I'm gonna start working on some of the paperwork and filling out some of the marketing details. I just want to give you guys that 5 or 10 minutes you need, if you're like me, to just talk amongst yourselves and make sure there's nothing else that you've forgotten to ask me. Make sure you're on the same page. Fair enough? And you're walking out of the room as you're doing that. Now, there are times, guys, where they will stop you and they'll say, no, wait a minute. Listen, we told you we're going to need a couple of days. We don't want to be pressured. So tell you what, we've got all your information here. We'll give you a call. Okay. So they're resisting a little bit, in which case you may have to go to step 3, which is to say, well, look, can I just ask you a question? Okay. Because you've told me that I meet all these criteria. You said you believed my marketing plan would work. We're in agreement on the price. You said, yes, you believe that my service and my communication is exactly what you're looking for. So I guess I'm confused. I got to ask, what most of the time when somebody tells me they need to think about it, one of two things is happening. Either there's something I said that you don't like or you don't agree with, and you're just really struggling with that. Or the other possibility is that there's something you were looking for from me. Okay, something you needed to hear that I just didn't cover in as much detail as you wanted. Guys, I committed right up front to being honest with you. Okay, so I'm just asking you, would you do the same for me right now? Just tell me the truth. Is there something that I've said that you don't like or you don't agree with? Or is there something that I just haven't covered to your satisfaction that's going to help you feel comfortable working with me? Okay, so let's go through that again just real quick, all right? Point number 1 is just ask them, hey, what is there, you said I meet all your criterion. Is there really any advantage to waiting? Is there anything else that you need to hear? Is there any real reason why you're waiting until tomorrow or the next day? That's easy. That's option one. They may give you an answer, they may not. Option number two is they may push it a little and say, we just need to think about it. So you stand up. You say, I'm going to just head to the other room for a few minutes. I'm going to give you guys some time to talk privately and, come to any conclusions you need to, and then I'll come back in and we'll see where we're at. Option number three is if they still don't go for it, let's really dig in and try to get them to be honest and tell you what the problem is. Is it price? Is it commission? Is it, some other agent told them this or that or the other thing? Let's draw this out, guys, and get it on the table. Okay? We want to think about it, or, we need to sleep on it, honestly, is probably one of the most frustrating objections, let's be honest. Because a lot of times they don't really give you an answer. They don't really give you a reason. So we need to try to draw that out without being obnoxious, without being overbearing. Okay? So what else? Guys, again, if you know for sure that when you get to this point in the presentation that you often get stumbled by a particular objection, a particular comment, something that just sometimes keeps you from getting that signature, write it in below, okay? Put it down there below and let me know what it is so we can drag it out here and start talking it through, okay? I'm going to give you, while I'm waiting for you guys to throw out some other questions, I'm going to give you another objection, okay, that I know is very common and that my clients tell me about all the time. And that is that basically, and again, this sort of goes back to price, but they basically say, well, look, we had another agent tell us that they can get us blank for the property, okay? So, in other words, now they're trying to play you off against the other agent. Well, this person said they could get me $20,000 more than what you're saying, so why should we work with you? Okay? And again, you got to go back through the questions. Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Okay, I get it. You had somebody else tell you a different price. Look, you would agree these are the facts, right? These are the comparable sales that have occurred in the last 3 to 6 months in your area. So I'm just curious, how is it that you feel another agent can come in having the same information with the same numbers and tell you that they can get you $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 more? If they were working with you as a buyer, okay, are they such a great salesperson that they would be able to get you as a buyer to pay $15,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 more for a property than you thought it was worth? Would they be able to do that for you? Or get you to do that? Well, no, of course not. Okay, well then I'm just wondering what makes you think they're going to be able to get anybody else to come in here on your property and knowingly, willingly pay $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 more than what other homes have sold for? What makes you think they're going to get anybody to do that? Okay, now, and have you ever asked yourself, why would an agent tell you that? Why would an agent tell you that they can get you a price that almost seems too good to be true? Did you ever ask yourself that? Well, no, not really. Okay, well, may I tell you why they do it? Would that be all right? Okay, I guess. Well, look, and you explain to them, look, they're telling you that because they want to buy your listing. They want to sign in the yard. They want to be able to put stuff up online. And frankly, they don't care if your home sells or not. Okay? They're going to use your listing as a means to attract buyers. And they're going to take those buyers who look at your home and think to themselves, wow, that price is a little bit high. And that agent is going to say, well, if you like this property and they're asking this much, check it out, man. I got these properties over here I can show you. And they're going to have those buyers out looking at other homes, and they're going to work to sell your competition. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I got to ask you, is that the kind of agent you want to list with? Do you want to hire an agent who's just simply going to put whatever price sounds good to you on your listing, use your listing to attract other buyers they can make money on over here? Or do you want an agent who is committed 100% to getting your home sold for top dollar? Be honest. Tell me, what kind of agent do you want? Now, what are they going to say when you present it like that? Because it's the truth, guys. See, the truth has power. That's what you need to remember. When you tell them the truth about price and about why other agents do what they do, it just makes sense. Because there is no other reason why, if you've got the comps, there's no other reason why an agent would tell them they can get them that much more money unless they're just lying to them because they want the listing. The seller just needs to have it explained to them about why agents do that. Okay, so I hope this is resonating, guys. If this is making sense, go ahead, please give me the likes, the thumbs up, the wow face, something, guys. But I hope that what you're taking away is the reality that if you just are willing to have an honest conversation with these sellers, and we're assuming they're motivated, okay, that's the big thing. Remember, if they're not motivated, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how compelling you are. They're still going to choose the silly option, the agent who tells them the higher price, the agent who tells them the low commission. Okay? You need to have a motivated seller. Okay? So, Alex, I just saw your question here. Let me scroll down and read. House and probate, personal rep. We're not sure if the property could be sold at this stage, so signed. Probably should have called the attorney right there. Yeah. So, yes, I think so. I mean, if that's the issue, if it's the attorney that is, you said it's the personal rep or the attorney that was not sure. But I do agree. If there's somebody else involved in that decision, definitely you want to get them there on the spot, or get a hold of them on the spot. And this is a great point. And we kind of talked about this back in, I want to say it was the very first segment of the presentation several weeks ago, when you were pre-qualifying and you were asking about other decision makers. So in a probate type situation, there are other people involved in choosing who the agent's going to be, right? So the more information you can get up front about who exactly is involved in choosing the agent, the easier it can be sometimes to get the contract signed. So this is just one example where, yeah, you may have had to give that attorney a call and say, hey, you know what? Let's check it out. Let's get the facts. Let's get the details. Let's find out what's going on here, because I'm ready to go to work, man. I'm ready to get this thing sold. I want to get you the best possible result, and I'd like to make it happen as soon as possible for you. So let's get the ball rolling. And you pick up the phone. There are other situations where it's not a probate, but maybe it's an older couple that needs to have their kids involved in making the final decision. They kind of want to run things by their kids or their grandkids even. Or in some cases, it's the other way around. You've got a young couple that wants to bring their parents in and get their worldly wisdom on who they should choose. But if you know up front that the property owners are going to be involving someone else in the decision to list the property, you got to get them there. Okay? You need to try to set it up where that other decision maker can actually be at the presentation, or maybe you bring them in through Skype, FaceTime, even a conference call. Okay? Because if that becomes a reason for them to put you off, if they can say to you, well, I kind of want to talk to my brother on this, I told him I'd get him involved, and, he's going to have some questions, and, so I'll get back to you. Ah, man, you should have known that, so you could get the brother on the phone, you could get the brother at the appointment if that's necessary. But again, guys, the more often you ask questions up front, the better able to set things up for success that you're going to be able to be. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope that resonates with you guys. Maybe you found yourself in a situation where you've had them put you off because they say to you, well, I got to talk to my kids, or I got to talk to my uncle, or I got to talk to so-and-so. Hey, you know what? They could have been a part of that presentation, man. You could have been selling yourself to them directly and answering their questions directly. All right? So again, comments, questions. What other objections are you guys getting? What other situations are you finding on a regular basis when you're trying to list property that keeps you from getting the signature? Is it commission? Okay, is it too high? They want too high of a price. Is it that we need to think about it? Oh, we got to talk to another agent. We promised these other agents we'd interview them. Let's take that one, for example. Okay? Hey, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I get that. Obviously this is a big decision, isn't it? And you want to make sure that you've actually chosen the best agent for the job. Am I right? Okay. So let's go back to something we talked about at the beginning of our meeting earlier tonight. Would that be okay? Because you said to me that you were looking for, you felt like for you to hire an agent, they needed to demonstrate a few things to you. And here's what we wrote down. And you go back to your list. You go back to what you talked to them about at the very beginning of the presentation, and you review those things. And you go back and check them off one at a time. Do you guys feel like I can get the property sold? Do you feel like my marketing plan is strong? Do you feel like I understand the market? Have I explained to you to your satisfaction where prices are today? You know, do you feel confident in the price that we've discussed? Do you feel like you're going to get communication from it? Do you believe, do you understand how the relationship is going to go moving forward? And does it feel right to you? So if they say yes to all that, then you can say, well, I got to admit, I'm just a little confused then, because if I've met the criteria, if I've become that agent that you said you wanted to hire, what else can somebody possibly offer to you that I haven't already committed to doing? Now look, if you're like me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your time is probably pretty valuable, right? I mean, you guys probably have a pretty busy life like we all seem to have. Do you really want to sit here for another evening and sit through another presentation where somebody's going to come in and tell you a lot of the same things and maybe not even be able to communicate them as thoroughly as we've done here tonight? Do you really want to do that? Okay, I mean, how about this? Why don't you go ahead, do the right thing, put me to work tonight. What I'll do is I will contact these other agents tonight on my way home, let them know we've got the property on the market, and get them to line up any potential buyers that they have for the home. We'll give them the first chance to sell this thing. Fair enough? Now, that technique, that approach has been around for a long time. It is not a guarantee, but in a lot of cases, if you're compelling and if you've made a great presentation, you can get them to say, okay, yeah, you're here. I need to make a decision. You're right. Everything you've said makes sense. We agree with you. We'll go ahead and list. There are other times, though, guys, where they're not going to do it. They can't get past the commitment they made to these other agents, or they can't get past in their head the what if. Well, what if they have something that you didn't talk about? What if they can promise me, this or that or the other? Sometimes, guys, you just got to follow up. All right? But that issue, again, of stalling the decision comes up all the time. And what you've got to be willing to do is push through. But push through in a way of contribution, in a way of that your concern is for them and you want to help them, not you're just being pushy and you're just trying to get another sale and you're just trying to make a buck. That cannot be the way that you communicate. And it shouldn't be what's in your heart. Okay? What should be in your heart is the desire to help. Okay? So, any other comments or questions as we kind of wrap up this conversation on listing property? All right? Please comment below. Let me know what else you need from me to be able to improve your listing presentation. All right? So, basically, guys, we have come to the end of this topic. All right? We have kind of worked through it from pre-qual through the setup at the beginning of the time you meet them in the house, comps, CMA, marketing plan, closing question, handling objections. Okay? It's full circle. So what I really am looking for from you guys, again, besides the feedback, besides the questions, is I want you to tell me what is the one or maybe two things that you've taken away from today's conversation and from all the other segments. Okay, what are the one or two things that you know you are going to work on and improve in your listing presentation compared to where you were maybe a month ago? Okay, because I'd like to think that there are several points that maybe resonate with you where you say, hey, man, that's something I got to get a little bit better at. Okay? Before we wrap up, though, we've got a little bit more time. One thing I didn't really touch on, maybe as much as I have in at other times about the listing, is the pre-list package. Okay? So, by the way, two things. If you still don't have a copy of my listing presentation script, make sure you comment below. I know lots of you did that over the last few weeks. But if you still need a copy, let me know. Put your comment below about listing presentation script. And if you don't have a great pre-list package, if you don't really love the package you're using, comment on that below as well, and I'll make sure I get a couple of examples of pre-listing packages to you that you can kind of modify and work from. But here's the thing about pre-list package, okay? It is really what it says it is. It is a package that goes out to them prior to your listing presentation, but it's not a follow-up tool, okay? This isn't something you give somebody the day you generate them as a lead, okay? The pre-list or pre-sale package is designed to get to them after you've got a confirmed pre-qualified appointment set, okay? So if you've had the conversation, they've said, yep, we're ready to hear what you have to say. And you've said, okay, great, I can meet you tonight at 6 or tomorrow at 5. What's better? And they say tomorrow at 5 or, Friday at 2. Great, you've got a pre-qualified, confirmed appointment. This is when the pre-list package goes out, okay? And you want to let them know it's coming. You want to let them know that you are going to deliver a package to them. Find out if they want it delivered to the house or they want it delivered to their place of work. And ask them a couple things. Say, guys, listen, I know you're busy, but you've already shared with me that this is a pretty big decision, right? I mean, choosing an agent to represent you in selling your home, man, that's a big deal, okay? This is important. So I'm just asking if you would take 5 minutes. Would you do that for me? Would you take 5 minutes and look through this package that I'm going to send you? Would you guys do that for me? Again, get a commitment. If they will look through the package, if they'll read your testimonials, if they will take in the things that you're sharing, you have been pre-sold. There's a much better chance that they're going to be ready to hire you when you come over. Okay? And the final part of that is point out the references and ask them, say, hey, check it out. When you buy something on Amazon or eBay or some other websites, how important is it to you that you look at the reviews, that you look at how many stars it got, in terms of its rating? Is that something you guys use to help you make a decision? Most people are going to say what? They're going to say, yeah, of course we do. Okay, well, that's part of the reason why I've included references in this package I'm going to send you. So could I ask you a favor? Would you be willing to do your homework? Would you be willing to take a few minutes and either email or call these people that I've included in there? Because you know what? They've given me their contact information for you for a reason. They've been excited about the work that I did for them. They want the opportunity to share with anybody else who's considering working with me what their experience was. So would you guys go ahead and do that for me? Okay? So again, guys, you got to sell them on going after and following up on your references. And if they'll do that, if you've got some great past clients who are going to say some nice things about you and are going to really encourage these people, I'm telling you, your chances for success just got notched up a few more percentage points. And that's what this is all about. The whole purpose of why we've spent these last several weeks talking about this is because we want to take you from maybe getting 50, 55, 60% of your listings signed to getting 70, 75, 80% or more of the times you go out to present. We want a signed contract coming back, okay? So there's some work you have to do up front. There's some skills you might need to work on and improve and tighten up. There may be a mindset shift that you have to have regarding certain things to make that happen, okay? So whatever it is, again, I need you to let me know down below. Get a hold of me here. You can email me, coachjameshotelling@gmail.com. You can message me through Facebook. Lots of ways, guys, to get your questions and your challenges to me. But the goal remains the same, man. It's to help you take more listings. All right? So, again, if you need the pre-list packages, let me know. If you need the listing presentation script, let me know. I want you to share this, guys. Please hit the share button. Get it out to a bunch of people or put it on your own page. And, again, let's be back here next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Central Time for Real Training Live, guys. I appreciate you showing up. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now.